Welcome to the Project Achilles. Today we are going to discuss tactics and self-defense, and we are focusing on this case from South Africa where a man used his gun in self-defense after being suddenly attacked by an armed assailant. So what are the lessons learned from this case? The first key takeaway is the attacker's psychological mindset and modus operandi. It's a classic easy prey scheme. We already saw that in some other videos. The attackers are armed, driving around, and randomly targeting people who they're perceiving as weak and unprepared. So psychologically, they believing that they have the upper hand just because they are armed and they have the element of surprise, which make them feel in a position of strength. So it's kind of true, but the defender is going to prove the exact opposite. Even though the attacker is getting off the car suddenly with a gun in his hand, he's going to have the perfect situational awareness and reaction. So the second takeaway is the defender's awareness and reaction training. As soon as the car stops, the defender immediately assesses it as a potential threat, and it's showing that he's mentally prepared and situationally aware because the moment he spots the attacker is holding a weapon, he's reacting without any hesitation, he's drawing his gun, his reaction follows the OODA loop perfectly. And we can sequence it, observe, he identifies a potential threat, which is the car. Orient, he's positioning himself toward the threat. You can see the line of his shoulder moving. Decide, he's confirming the threat and decides to act. And the act part of the OODA loop, he's drawing his gun and fires at the attacker. So we can see that the defender is clearly well trained because all his movements are smooth. His draw, his grip, the way he's firing, everything is instinctive. And even though the attacker already has his gun out, he doesn't have the time to compress and shoot because the defender is too fast. So some people may question his choice to holster his weapon while he's moving back and then also starting shooting while he's moving back. But in my opinion, I think it's a good thing because he's putting space between him and the attacker. So it's giving him time to draw and compress. He also has more option. And you don't want the attacker to come in your close quarters because it could be a different fight. So I think it's pretty smart. And if I would have been in his place, I would have done the same thing. We should also notice how the defender is keeping eye contact with the attacker from the moment he spots the threat until the situation is neutralized, and is even following through to make sure that the attacker is no longer a danger, that the car is really like driving away. And he's doing this while wearing flip-flop, and he's even kicking them off while maintaining his stance. And I think it's really a further sign of high training and composure. The final takeaway is the impact of stress. So shooting and moving is already difficult, but doing it under stress is incredibly difficult. And I can say that because of my operational experience. I lived it, I know what it is on the battlefield. Stress is reducing your fine motor skills. So it goes by 40 to 60% depending on the person and the training. So of course, if you are a special ops, it's going to be less than this. But if you are a regular person, is going to be in the range and probably more. And you can see that because even though he's well trained, his reaction is good, and he seems like he knows what he's doing, the defender is missing from close quarters. Like he's in point blank range and he's not hitting the attacker, and it seems like he's shooting like 10 rounds. So yeah, stress is going to affect your abilities. That is something which is true and proven. And so, once again, the more you are training, the better your situational awareness, decision making, and reaction time become. And the training will help to minimize the impact of stress on the fine motor skills, and it will enhance overall performance in high pressure situations. So, if you are a gun owner, if you're carrying, if you want to protect yourself, defend your family, the ones you love, you have to go to training. It's really important to have the high skill level required to operate your firearm under stress. It's really important. Follow Project Achilles for more self-defense content.